doing fabulous.
Thank you.
I worked with 3 different guitar players. They were all busy tonight.
Oh no!
So I got a chance to play with Doug, which is good. Yeah.
I like it. Nice buttons too.
Anyway, the Beatles came to town, and a friend of mine, who I think was slightly mad, said we have to meet the Beatles. And I don't know if have you seen Hard Day's Night? So you remember that, like, there's the police cordon, and there are the 2,000 screaming fans who are, like, trying to get at the Beatles, and they're in the hotel. This is exactly what it was. The Beatles, were playing at the Gaumont Theatre. And there was a cordon of police, and there were, thousands and thousands and thousands of, like people my age, sort of screaming and tearing their hair out and trying to get at the Beatles. And my friend said, we're going to go and talk to the manager of the theatre. Well, the Gaumont was a cinema during the week. And so we went up and we talked to him. He was 50. I mean, 50 to me when I was 17 was, could be a caveman, I don't know. And I suddenly heard my friend say these strange words. He said, I've come down from London to see my client, Mr. Lennon, and I represent Rickenbacker Guitars, and Mr. Lennon wants to see me, and I can't get to him because there are all these kids in the way. Now, this is said by a 16-year-old. So, but this guy was just harassed, he didn't know what to do, so the next thing that happens is he picks up the telephone and he calls down to the police cordon and he says, my name and my friend's name, and he says they're coming down and they represent Rickenbacker Guitars and make sure they get in to see Mr. Lennon. I can't believe it. So what, we walk down and the police cordon sort of divides like this, they're pushing people away. They're pushing people away that we know. And we're walking through the police cordon and we're sort of waving to people that we know, And so we get in, we get backstage at the Gaumont, and we get all the way to the stage door, and we encounter our first obstacle. The Beatles had a road manager called Neil Aspinall. He was very big. And Neil Aspinall knows an idiot when he sees one, especially a teenage idiot. And so he opened the door of the dressing room and he just took one look at us and started pushing us down the corridor. So I said, no, you go that way, And so we were being pushed down the corridor, and as I look over my shoulder, and I'm being sort of like pushed by the top of my head, and as I look over my shoulder, I see John Lennon materialize in the doorway. In those days, you did 2 shows. It was like a package tour. The Beatles only played for 30 minutes. There were like 5 bands on the show, and they played 2 shows a night. And Lennon appears in the doorway. I've got to say something intelligent. I've got to say something musical. And I know he loves Fender amplifiers. So as I'm being pushed down the corridor by Neil Aspinall, I say, why aren't you using your Fender amplifier anymore? And that was the critical moment. I suddenly hear this voice say, oh, it's all right, you can fucking let them come in. So there we are. And John Lennon starts talking to us. Why are you not using your Fender? Oh, well, bloody Brian, man. I mean, it's on this deal with fucking Vox, man. I mean, I don't kick it off the end of the beer if it was up to me, man. Various Liverpudlianisms to that effect. So I was standing there and I said, how is the Rickenbacker anyway? He says, oh, bloody great, man. Goes and gets it and puts it around my neck. So now, I'm 17 years old, in the height of Beatlemania, John Lennon is standing in front of me and I have his guitar around my neck. Which, of course, is where I make my great mistake, and it's like my contribution towards Beatle history. This is going to appear in many Beatle books. He says, what did you think of the first show? And I said, well, it was great, but because I was sitting right in front of George Harrison's amplifier, and in those days, if you sat, the whole thing is directional. If you sit in front of, the speakers of an amplifier, that's all you hear. And I said, I couldn't really hear you because all I was hearing was George. Now, what I meant was I was sitting in front of George's amplifier, but I didn't have a chance to elaborate because all I heard was bloody George. And he disappeared into the dressing room, and I went home and I went to bed and I couldn't sleep because I just met John Lennon. And in the morning I woke up somewhat late, and the local paper was on the table, and I came down, picked up the paper, it reviewed both shows, and it said, the Beatles, fantastic. Just you know, they're as good as everyone says, you know. This was the greatest thing ever to come to Bournemouth. First show, amazing. Second show, John Lennon played so loud we couldn't hear the rest of it.
And your hotel keys and your overnight bag at your feet. You're looking down on the tropical trees while the Spanish maids pick up the sheets. Conquistador in search of gold for all the gentle reasons. The Midas Shadow that's so hard to see just follows wherever you go. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, they said. Oh, you play for the one that takes all. Toss the dice high up and range your head, see how the numbers would fall. You stole the game so easily, I never asked the reason. The Midas Shadow that's so hard to see just follows wherever you go. Another boring car. Oh, you wait for them to see it on the plan. The movie runs, but you're still working hard. You don't touch your food or champagne. I know that when your well runs dry, you wanna know the reason. The empty night brings you no reply. It just follows wherever you go.